Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi DC Comics Flash. And I'm excited about this figure, so let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting off with the packaging. As you can see, he does come in the new style of packaging that they've been using. It's a lot less busy and doesn't have quite as much going on as their older style of packaging. I know not everybody likes the change, but I'm okay with it. I think this does look very sleek and high quality, so I dig it. But right here on the front of the box, we get a look at Flash. On the side of the box, we get a look at Flash just standing there, and that's a very good sign. On the back, we get a look at him with a bunch of his accessories and all kinds of different poses. Man, he comes with some really cool effects. Can't wait to check all that out. And then on this side of the box, we get some really cool looking photography of the Flash. I think they did a good job with those shots. And that's about it for the packaging. It does look nice. It's collector friendly and all that good stuff. But enough about the pretty box. Let's go ahead and get Flash out and take a look. All right, so the first thing I had to do when I took Flash out of the box was check to see if he could stand there and look good in a neutral pose. And I would say, I think that he can. Check that out. He looks pretty good, right? You can see the ball joints in the shoulders and the ball joints in the elbows. And you know, those are always kind of an eyesore, but in certain cases they could blend in pretty well. And I think with Flash, they're hidden well enough, and I think overall the figure looks really good. And you know, with some characters, like Revoltech, like all the joints that Revoltech put in there and all the plates and all kinds of weird things that they stuff into their figures, with some characters it just really doesn't work. Like for Spider-Man, I like the last Spider-Man they did, but all those cuts are distracting. But for somebody like Flash, I think it does kind of work, because even though like in the old school comics Flash just had like a red spandex suit, in later comics there were other things going on with this suit. You know, there were lines and all kinds of different designs. It was always just like a red suit, but as time went on, I feel like they added a little bit more detail. And I feel like if you look at this figure with that in mind, a lot of these cuts are easier to just kind of look past, you know? So I think that Flash was a pretty good character choice for Revoltech. And as you can see, he does have these ports, and that's for some of the energy effects that he comes with. And the energy effects are really dope. We'll take a look at those in just a minute. But one thing about them is that in some aspects, it kind of has a negative impact on the figure, mostly the head, because he does have like these pieces that you could plug into the head to make it look like energy is coming out of the eyes. And that's awesome and everything. But then it kind of makes it to where the normal earpiece things kind of come out really easily. So like when I was messing with the head, I kept like knocking that off. It was pretty annoying. So I may have to do something to tighten that up. So yeah, I love the effects and everything, but I don't like the impact that it had on the head. But aside from that, the figure has been a lot of fun to play with. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. Just like all Revoltech figures, you know, you could just get these guys into crazy ass poses. And yeah, Flash is no different. But yeah, I do think that he looks really good. And that's what sold me on this figure. I was playing with Machu Toy's Flash at DesignerCon. Shout out to Machu Toy. He had his with them, and when I actually saw it in person, just kind of standing there, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it looks kind of good, you know? Like he could stand there and be a cool looking Flash, so I think I'm gonna have to pick it up. That's really what sold me. And then as far as the sculpt and the design goes, I think this is a really good looking figure. Starting off with the head sculpt, it does kind of have like a soft animated kind of look to it, but I think it looks pretty good. I'm usually not a huge fan of that style choice, but I think for the Flash it turned out nice. Look at the eyes too. Those are super crisp. The paint is really clean. The skin tone looks really good on the Flash. And yeah, man, this is a great looking head sculpt. I do wish they used a denser material, because it kind of comes off as feeling a little cheap, because the head is so soft and like this thing falls out easy and the face kind of falls out easy. But I mean, the face doesn't fall out easy, but it doesn't feel like it's in there securely. But these ear things fall off really easily. So I do wish they used a denser material for the head. But as far as like the sculpt and the design goes, I think it looks really good. That's a pretty good looking head sculpt. Then moving down into the body, you could see that the body does have like all this like design work and lines and things like that. The muscles look pretty good, but the articulation kind of like makes them look a little crazy in certain areas. But I think for the most part, it looks good. And yeah, all those lines in the design actually help hide some of the articulation cuts, so that's always nice. The shoulders do look a little crazy, and then the elbows do. I feel like if they would have just brought the forearm up just a little bit, or just like covered this area, then this would have looked a lot better. I feel like they did a way better job of it on Moon Knight. Like this gap is a little bit more closed than it is here. But yeah, aside from that, I think it looks decent. Have some like design work on the forearm. We've got the gold lightning bolts, which look nice. The belt is a floating piece, but it is plugged in on the back, so it's, you know, it's somewhat secure. I kind of want to glue it down right here though, but we'll see. But yeah, I think the figure looks pretty good. It does have these holes, but these holes have a purpose. It's so that you could plug in the lightning effects that he comes with. Yeah, you know, Revoltech, they're always going to do certain things, and certain things about them are always going to look a little weird. But, you know, I think when they could like balance everything nicely and, you know, still have that great articulation, but somewhat make the figure look pretty normal, then I think that's a win. And I think for Flash, they pretty much nailed it. So and for accessories, the Flash comes with all types of dope stuff, including multiple sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists, we have a set of open dramatic hands, we have a pair of open relaxed hands, and then finally we have a set of flat hands. And these are cool. They could be used for running poses and things like that. And then he does come with 5 different faces, and these face plates can kind of be like inserted under the mask. You kind of just pull them right out. It's very easy to change these things out. But he has 5 different facial expressions. The first one is just like a neutral, very serious looking face. The second one is similar to the first one. It's very serious and neutral, but this time his eyes are kind of looking off to the side. And then he has a couple of angry faces. The first one has his mouth open, kind of looks like he's screaming. The next one just shows his teeth and he's looking straight forward. The final face shows his teeth and then he's kind of looking off to the side. So if you have him and like Reverse Flash running next to each other, you could have Flash looking over at him. So I think that's pretty dope. In addition to the extra hands and the multiple faces, Flash also comes with all of these crazy lightning effects. And man, these things are so freaking dope. You could plug them into the figure and it just makes them look awesome. And what kind of caught me by surprise with this is that they could actually support the weight of the figure. I'm not using a stand or anything like that here. And as you can see, the lightning bolts are kind of like holding them up. Obviously, we have this one back here that kind of, you know, serves as like a stand. But on the front end, you know, all the weight is up here, but these lightning bolts are able to hold it up. So that is crazy. I'm not going to go through each lightning bolt. Like, I think there's basically just 2 main styles. One style has like a ball joint at the end of it, so you could kind of articulate it. And the other style is just a peg, but the one that's just a peg can be plugged in to the one that has the ball joint. So like, as you can see right here, we have like 2 lightning bolts plugged into each other, and then like there's the ball joint so you could articulate it. But man, I was having so much fun taking pictures with him when I was able to like actually get him to stand on these things, you know? But yeah, that's so dope. And then he does have like a really cool effect on the chest that makes it look like the logo is like charged up, and then he has the ones on his eyes. And yeah, man, these effects are just so cool. You know, whenever you think of Revoltech, you don't necessarily think like display piece or anything, but this right here would be dope on the shelf, just like this. I might have to, you know, adjust his pose just a little bit, but like the fact that you can use these to display the Flash is freaking crazy. You do have to be careful once you like put these things on and start to handle it, because, you know, you can knock things loose. But yeah, that's crazy right there. I just really love that. You know, obviously once you have all this stuff on, it's going to be hard to actually pose them, but you know, if you could get it all right, it looks really dope. And yeah, man, I really love the effects on here. There's a bunch of them though. I kind of feel like maybe it was overkill because all the ones that you see here aren't even all of them. I still have a couple of bolts of lightning left in the tray, so they threw a lot in there. But yeah, man, I've got to say, this is so cool. I love these effects quite a bit. So yeah, I'm really happy with the accessories that he comes with. It's always nice to get the hands and the faces, but the standout accessories are definitely the lightning effects. Those things are awesome. And for some very quick size comparisons, here we have the Revoltech Flash alongside some of my favorite Flash figures. On the left, we have the DC Icons version. On the right, we have the Mezco 112 Collective version. And I love both of these figures quite a bit, but neither one of them are all that much fun to pick up and pose around, you know? So the Revoltech definitely offers that in comparison to these two. But yeah, man, the DC Icons one is pretty damn special. It's like the perfect looking Flash. It's got some good articulation, but a couple of shortcomings. The Mezco one, I know a lot of people don't really love this Mezco Flash, but I think it's pretty awesome. I think they did a good job with it, but obviously because of the soft goods and stuff, you can't really pose them that much. So the Revoltech offers posability in a Flash figure, and I'm really happy to finally have that. And if I could pick one company to give us a Flash figure, it would definitely be Mafex. Here we have the Revoltech Flash alongside the Mafex Hush Batman and the Mafex Hush Superman. And I think he looks pretty good with them. But, you know, when you put him next to like cleaner looking figures, the joints kind of start to stand out a little bit more. But I think this definitely works as a Flash to go along with your Mafex DC figures. Mafex are making the greatest DC figures out right now. I would love to see them do Flash. And then just for some more random DC stuff, here we have him alongside the DC UC Martian Manhunter and the Mezco 112 Collective John Stewart Green Lantern. Next up, we have him alongside the DC Icons Deadman and the Mezco 112 Collective Constantine. Here we have him alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Wonder Woman and the Mafex Nightwing. And if Mafex did a Flash figure, I'd imagine that it would feel very much like this Nightwing figure, and that'd be awesome because that thing is dope. And he's definitely not going to fit in with McFarlane stuff, but for fun, here we have him alongside the Multiverse Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. And then next up, we have him alongside some other recently released, really well done Revoltech figures. On the left, we have Spider-Man, and on the right, we have Moon Knight. And I definitely put Flash up there with like Spider-Man or Black Panther. I think they really did a good job with it. He doesn't touch Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight is in a class of its own when it comes to Revoltech, but right beneath his class, we have, you know, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and now the Flash. So I think they're doing a great job with a lot of their recent releases. And then finally, here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man and the Marvel Legends Bucky Cat. So the Flash does have all of that ridiculous articulation that we've come to expect from Revoltech, and I am having fun playing around with it, but I will say one thing that's driving me crazy is the head. Like, it feels super soft, and like when you're messing around with it, the faceplate feels like it's just gonna like come off, and you know, you could easily knock these earpieces, and it's just really, really frustrating. And the reason why I bring it up during the articulation is because I feel like it's having a negative impact on the overall fun factor. I'll be posing the figure, I get him into a cool position, and then I go to adjust the head, and you know, like the earpiece will fall off, or like the faceplate needs to be adjusted, or the head just feels like it's rattling around, and it's just annoying because the rest of the figure is so much fun to mess around with. I really feel like they did a kind of a bad job on the head. I wish they would have used like more dense material because it's very soft, and that's probably why everything feels so flimsy and like it's gonna, you know, fall apart. But just at the head, it's really weird. But anyways, moving on, because I do feel like the figure has great articulation. Let's go ahead and see what we have going on, starting off with the head. So he can look up to about right there, and as you can see, it just like whack. I don't like the feel of it at all. But it gets good range. He could look up to about right there. And then using the head and that lower neck joint, he could look down to about right there, which is nice. And then we get some nice side to side from the neck. And then he could look side to side at the head, and we get a little bit of tilting action at the head itself too. So yeah, I don't know, man. The head is definitely pissing me off. Then moving on to the torso, he does have a diaphragm cut and a ball joint at the waist. Using both of those, he gets crazy range. Bam, look at that. That is awesome. That kind of makes up for the for what the head is doing. But damn, that's pretty good. And then it could go back to about right there. Get some nice like side to side. You can spin on the diaphragm, or twist on the diaphragm, I should say. And then you can also twist right there at the waist. So good stuff at the torso. And then he does have these standard Revoltech like plates right here that are attached to the shoulder. And you know, those are cool right here. They don't bother me too much. He does have your standard modern Revoltech shoulder setup where it's like that double, well, it's like a ball joint in the middle there, and then there's a ball joint that goes into the shoulder, and then it pegs into the torso. But it does go all the way around, which is nice. Comes up to the side a really good amount. And it's not too gappy at all, so that's pretty good. I mean, obviously it's not like perfect right here, but it doesn't look too bad no matter what you're doing with it. And then he does have upper bicep swivel. There we go. He's got that single joint at the elbow that gets crazy range. Bam, look at that. He has a ball joint at the wrist that has a hinge, so you can spin it, and you can use the hinge to kind of put it into whatever position you want. And then for the legs, let's see, his hips are on like ball joints, so his leg could come up to right there, and then, you know, if you bring the torso forward, damn, yeah, that's crazy. And then he could kick to the side a really good amount. Oop, there goes his leg. Sometimes that'll pop off if you get too crazy with it, but pops right back on, so not a big deal. But yeah, that's pretty dope right there. Get him into a nice kicking pose. And then he does have like a upper thigh swivel, but it's like a real weird angle. I don't like the way they do their upper thigh swivels, honestly. They are useful, but the angle is really weird. But there's an upper thigh swivel in there. It's got a single joint at the knee, but it does get good range. And then he does have my favorite joint, the motherfucking shin hinge. Look at that. Nice, nice. And then at the ankle, he does have a ball joint. So we do have rocking ankles on that. And it could kind of swivel. He's got toe hinge. Could bring it back to right there and then come up to right there. So yeah, you know, the articulation on him is obviously freaking awesome. Like, you could get him into all kinds of crazy running poses and things like that. And you know, it just like the head just kind of bothers me. But when I'm messing around with the figure and before I have to deal with the head, I'm like really enjoying it, because you could get him into like the coolest running poses. Definitely the most articulated Flash out there. There's not a whole lot of like options for good articulated Flash figures. So as far as the articulation goes, this is like the most that we're ever going to get from a Flash figure. That's for sure. But yeah, you could get him into some pretty cool running poses. Super dynamic and dramatic. Yeah, that's dope. Definitely a fun figure to mess around with. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this is a really dope figure. Revoltech did a nice job on this guy. I will say I don't love every single thing about it, but for the most part, I'm really happy with the way he turned out. It's nice to have a super articulated Flash figure. I have some other Flash figures that I like quite a bit. You know, the Mezco and the DC Icons. Those are some amazing figures, but they're not really a whole lot of fun to play with. They don't have the greatest articulation. They just pretty much look really cool. So it's dope to finally have a Flash that's super posable. Obviously, Revoltech killed it with the articulation like they always do. This guy's a whole lot of fun to play with. You could get him into a bunch of different dynamic poses, and it gives you everything that we've come to expect from Revoltech. They killed it with the articulation. And for the accessories, I'm happy to get all the hands and the faces and stuff like that, but the thing that I really love is all those lightning effects. Those are so cool. They're a whole lot of fun to photograph, and I think it makes for like a really cool display piece to have all those lightning effects all over him in like a running pose. I think it looks super dope. I love those effects. Those things are awesome. They plug into the figure, and you know, they're posable. There's a lot of good stuff going on with those effects, and they gave us so many of them. If anything, I feel like maybe they kind of went overboard with the amount of lightning effects in there. But yeah, those are some really cool accessories. And as far as like the sculpt and the design, I think they did a good job with it. Yes, it does have some like Revoltech tendencies, like the elbows and the shoulders, but for the most part, everything is hidden pretty nicely. And because, you know, sometimes Flash has like lines and different designs on his costume, I feel like they were able to hide a lot of the cuts and flaps within that design, and I feel like for the most part the figure looks really good. The only thing I dislike about this figure is the head, and it's not really like the design or the sculpt or anything. I think it looks pretty good actually, but the thing I dislike about it is that the earpieces don't really stay in. The head feels very soft, and like the faceplate feels like it's gonna come off, but you know, the worst thing about it is the fact that the earpieces just constantly fall off. When I'm posing the figure, they fall off, and it's just really annoying. So I'm gonna try to see if I could like tighten up the hole a little bit and maybe get the earpieces to sit in there more securely. But yeah, aside from that, I think this figure is awesome. I think they could have done a better job on the head. Honestly, I think if like the material was a little bit more dense, like the plastic was a little stiffer, I think that a lot of the problems with the head wouldn't really be there. That's the one flaw with this figure, but aside from that, I'm really happy with the way he turned out, and I'm really excited to finally have a super posable Flash. So yeah, they killed it. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification. You should definitely make sure that you hit the bell notification, because I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily get notified whenever I post a video or whenever I go live. And I only say that because people actually tell me that, you know. So be sure to hit the bell notification, and you know, that way if you don't want to watch the video, at least you get the option. At least you can get the option to ignore it. If YouTube tells you, hey, there's a new video by this fool, you want to check it out, at least you could go, nah, I'd rather not. But if you don't even hear about it, you don't even get the option. So be sure to hit the bell notification, and thank you very much. Peace.